Pacific will be our theater of war. Marines will do battle with the Japs on tiny specks of turf that we have never heard of. You are the sinew and the muscle of the Corps. Whenever this war is over, and we have swept upon the main islands of Japan and destroyed every scrap of that empire, the victory will have been won. You, the NCO, the chevrons on your sleeves, instinct in your gut, and the blood on your boots. And we will meet our enemy alone.
Hey, were you just staring at my Johnson? I know you were. So welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, the Talking Balaclava, and today we are going over my Johnson. And yes, the puns won't stop. They're gonna be nothing but Johnson puns. So let's dive on in. Did I just catch you on the toilet? Were you asleep? Were you watching something you shouldn't have been? Are you drinking your coffee, eating your beer? Doing time theft. Whatever it may be, I don't care, but make sure you do something for me, and that is a like and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Your comments are a sacrifice to the algorithm god, a god of which who enjoys your engagement on the channel. It's greatly appreciated. If you want to support the channel in any way, shape, or form, Patreon. Excellent way to support the channel. Savio, how good is Patreon?
We love Patreon.
We love Patreon. Discord. We stay up late and talk about girls, behind the scenes, early access to videos, giveaways, a bunch of stuff going on. Why are you not into Patreon? What are you, a virgin? I mean, save yourself for marriage. That's based in Christ pill. Merchandise, also an excellent way to support the channel. Now, of course, we have to thank the sponsor of this episode, which is going to be EXOTHERMIC Technologies. Are they Japanese? You have to get out of a bunker? Then you're gonna need a flamethrower. And a flamethrower is an excellent way to handle bunkered people. This is for Pearl Harbor. It's also a great way to start a barbecue. Don't shoot, let it burn. It's also a great way to get rid of some weeds. But this is a fun entry-level flamethrower. I mean, I wouldn't recommend risking your life crawling up to a bunker with this flamethrower. This is a great entry-level flamethrower. You can try it out, have a little bit of fun, maybe burn some grass or something. I don't know, it's a free country, do what you want. Flamethrowers are a good time. All right, enough talk about flamethrowers. Let's dive into the Johnson video. History lesson, there was this guy named Melvin Johnson, and he thought the US Army was making a big old mistake by adopting the M1 Garand. So he was petitioning everybody and trying to get his product out there. Sadly, the US government didn't really spring for the Johnson. They instead sprung for the M1 Garand that we all know and love today. Yet Johnson did think this weapon was inferior compared to, well, his Johnson. So there are about 28,000 Johnsons made. Now, the Johnson actually had success selling to the Dutch government. Now the Dutch were like, hey, that's a pretty slick design, we'll take that. The problem is where they wanted these guns to end up essentially got taken over by the Japanese. So they really couldn't send, Johnsons over to the Japanese. That's a big no-no, right? Fast forward to the invasion, we have the Guadalcanal, the campaign, the Solomon Islands, Bougainville, and para-Marines were seen and pretty much well documented ending up with Johnson weapons. They liked the Johnson LMG, and a lot of Marines liked the Johnson rifle. Now, it's no surprise to us that they would prefer this weapon over a 1903 Springfield, probably a lot of the guns that their dads or grandparents used, technically speaking, in World War I. If it was a choice between a Springfield 1903 or a Johnson, I would say, hey, give me that freaking Johnson. I found I was able to load 11 rounds into this gun. I would drop the chamber, have one in the tube, and then top off another round, and then have 11 in this gun. Now, this does feed from the stripper clips as well as you can top it off. The topping off feature is pretty cool, and we'll actually see the fire rate and how much faster I can top this off compared to the M1 Garand. So that'd be a fun little test that we're gonna do. Now, of course, let's go over the Johnson. We'll do a little tip to butt. We have our iron sights up here, and we have our bayonet lug. A big thing that the US government did not like about the Johnson was a lack of a quality bayonet, or the fact that getting a bayonet on this gun was gonna be hard itself. You can see this barrel essentially is a reciprocating barrel with a recoil, and having a lot of mass on a barrel like that is not going to be good for the gun, so they had to come up with a spiker type bayonet. Usually that's going to be one of the rarest parts about the gun, is getting an OG bayonet, which we have to show you guys today. Now, this Johnson isn't mine, even though it's a nice Johnson. It's a well-sized Johnson. It's everything you want your Johnson to be. This Johnson belongs to a good friend of the channel. Nick, get over here. Is this is a nice Johnson you got here?
Well, it is a very nice Johnson, and
I thank you for the channel today and having me out, because I have overcome my inhibitions. This is the first time that I have had my Johnson shown in public.
Usually they'd lock you up, but a Johnson as nice as this, I think they'd give you an award.
It's a nice Johnson.
It's a really nice Johnson.
And thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for stopping by and let me touch your Johnson. I told you they weren't going to stop.
Gentlemen, we of course also have to thank Gunspot. It is another website improving the Second Amendment space. Get back to the mercantilism that was gun culture years ago. Do a little connecting and trading and bartering and also networking. Gunspot also has the Gunspot Academy, a Second Amendment blog / news and entertainment space for 2A content. So big thank you to Gunspot.
Now I'm moving down to the gun. It does handle very well. We'll compare it to the M1 Garand as well, but we move down to the charging handle. So to rock this bad boy back, you do have to lift it up. If you're unfamiliar with it and trying to go straight back, you're gonna say, hey, wait, what's wrong with your Johnson? It may not be working at the moment, but you do have to lift it up and pull back, and then she will go to the rear. We have our rotary magazine right here. It does add a nice aesthetic to the rifle. And to drop the bolt, we just do a little one of those motions, simulating around in the chamber. Have our rear sights back here, along with our safety and our trigger. We'll do a little trigger ghost for you guys. Boo, look at that, real nice. Do another one. Pretty nice trigger. I will say I do like that trigger. And then just got a normal buttstock. So pretty simple overall, but this gun does have a very iconic aesthetic. So I do like her. I do like my Johnson. Well, I like Nick's Johnson.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so let's do a little live demonstration of the benefits or downfalls of the Johnson. So I actually loaded up 10 in the cylinder, 1 in the tube. So we'll shoot and then we'll top it off and see if I can get essentially 21 rounds off as fast as I can. And that's essentially the test. Not going for accuracy in this portion, but just going for speed. All right, Nick, on you, sir. Okay, may I see the shot timer? All right, so 21 rounds, 28.37 seconds. Pretty good, I think, for the era. I mean, going against bolt action. Now, let's see how the M1 Garand does. I'll shoot 21 rounds to keep it even. So 2 in blocks, 3 in blocks. No, that's 24, right?
That's 24.
Yeah, so 2.5 in blocks, pretty much. Math is hard, Nick, I'm sorry. Come on. Well, my M1's having issues. That's nice. All right, well, I think my M1's failing the test. Johnson wins. All right, well, I've been having some issues with my M1 Garand. Relubed her up, cleaned her. It could be a spring issue, so I have to look into that further. But when I did start the initial testing, I was cooking with fire rate, and then on the reload, it felt a lot smoother than having to deal with the stripper clip. So to me, I thought I was gonna beat the time of the Johnson, but sadly, the M1 Garand kind of fell apart, so.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't.
There is that factor, but it is still fun to compare it to. The Johnson has an overall longer length than the M1, if you wanna come check this out. So the Johnson is a little bit longer than the M1, and you know, we all want a longer Johnson. I told you they weren't gonna stop. I warned you. I warned you. Now let's take a quick look-ski at the bayonet. So we have the uber rare bayonet that we have with a original case. Now you can see how I was talking about, that little spiker type bayonet. Good for giving a little poke, you know, eating your meats. Boom, look at that. Now you got a Bayonet Johnson. Check that out. Kill, kill, kill. Those Japs never stood a chance. Like I was saying earlier, used to great effect in Bougainville. I think there was a platoon sergeant that managed to snag over 42 confirmed kills with his Johnson, so very impressive. I know there were a lot of Marines that had a high affinity for their Johnson, as Marines would. I can't help myself at this point. So I even heard of one account when they were ordered to kind of dismantle their Johnsons and bury them on the beach. There was Marines that would take theirs down and smuggle them home and even ship them off.
What are we talking about here?
And those particular models were very sought after and collector items essentially, if they were known to have been used by the Marines, or at least the para-Marines in that campaign. So guys, really cool piece of history, very cool kit, getting to show off to you guys, so it's always a good time. So yet again, big thank you to Nick for bringing his Johnson and let me touch it on the channel. If you want to support the show in any way, shape, or form, Patreon is an excellent way to support the channel as well as merchandise. As always, gentlemen, stay easy, stay breezy. I'll catch you on the flip. Got him.